You helped a human? Congratulations. That means Earth just went to war for you. The deep void of space stretched endlessly, silent except for the low hum of a derelict research station. The station, once a hub of interstellar experiments, now drifted in solitude, its lights flickering against the darkness. Tilar, a small, wiry Vicari engineer, moved through the corridors with practiced caution. Every step echoed softly in the metallic halls. He had learned to trust no one in this sector. The interstellar empire had tightened its grip, leaving few survivors. As Tilar worked on the damaged systems, a flicker on the external monitors caught his attention. Something was floating in the void, a figure motionless, drifting far too close to the station. His sensors identified a life form, though it did not match any species he knew. Curiosity mixed with caution as he activated the external viewport. The image was clear now, a human, a species rarely encountered and known mostly from legends of Earth's fleets. The human was injured, barely moving, and the small life pod surrounding him was fractured and sparking. Tilar's mind raced. He knew the laws of his people forbade contact with humans. They were unpredictable, powerful, and their intervention often brought trouble. But he also knew that leaving the human to die would violate the very essence of life he held sacred. His fingers hovered over the controls. The decision weighed heavily on him, but something in the human's fragile state moved him. He initiated the retrieval sequence, sending out the station's robotic arms to secure the pod. The pod shuddered and cracked as it was pulled into the docking bay. Tilar approached slowly, his three eyes studying the human. The stranger was unconscious, a small trickle of blood marking his temple, yet his chest rose and fell with a steady rhythm. Tilar had seen many life forms perish in the cold vacuum of space, but there was a spark in this one, a stubborn will to survive. He knew that spark well. It was rare, yet undeniable. Tilar worked through the night, repairing the pod's life support and stabilizing the human. Hours passed as he administered the necessary medical aid using Vicari biotools. At last, the human stirred. His eyes, a bright, defiant blue, opened wide, scanning the unfamiliar surroundings. Tilar stepped back, wary of any sudden movements. The human blinked and tried to speak, but his voice was hoarse, strained by the vacuum of space and the injuries he had sustained. "Where am I?" the human asked, his accent strange but clear. Tilar hesitated. Words between species were difficult, often unreliable, but the human seemed intelligent. "You are on a Vicari station," Tilar replied cautiously. "You are safe for now." The human's eyes widened and a faint smile crossed his lips. "Safe for now?" he echoed, almost in disbelief. The next hours were tense but filled with a growing understanding. Tilar observed the human, learning quickly that he was Commander Alex Rains, a skilled officer from Earth. Despite his injuries, Alex's mind was sharp, calculating, already scanning the station and its systems. He asked questions, not just about survival, but about the station, the Vicari, and the surrounding space. Tilar was cautious but answered, realizing that Alex's knowledge could be invaluable. The human was not merely a survivor. He was a strategist, a thinker, and strangely, a source of hope. As the day turned into night, Tilar knew that he had made a choice he could not undo. By helping Alex, he had violated Vicari law and potentially drawn his species into a conflict far greater than they understood. He watched the human move through the station, adapting quickly to the alien environment, handling controls with surprising ease. Alex's presence was a reminder of something the Vicari had long forgotten, that intelligence, courage, and determination could defy even the most insurmountable odds. The peace, however, was short-lived. Sensors picked up distant warp signatures, faint but unmistakable. Tilar's heart raced. The station's scanners confirmed what he had feared. Earth's fleets were on the move. Their ships, vast and powerful, were en route, drawn by a covenant unknown to the Vicari. By helping Alex, Tilar had unknowingly activated an ancient pact. Any species that aided a human was considered an ally of Earth, and Earth did not take allies lightly. Tilar shared the news with Alex, who listened carefully, his expression unreadable. "It seems we are not alone in this," Alex said finally, his voice calm but firm. He began to outline a plan, combining his human tactics with the station's technology. Tilar followed, amazed at the rapid understanding the human had of Vicari systems. The engineer realized that this alliance, born from compassion, was now a necessity. The Vicari station had to prepare, not just for survival, but for the arrival of an entire fleet and the conflict it would bring. The following hours were a blur of preparation. Tilar and Alex repaired defensive turrets, reinforced shields, and coordinated with automated systems. Every small action was a step toward survival, and every decision carried weight. The human's presence was both a risk and a boon, and Tilar felt a strange sense of respect growing between them. They were from different worlds, yet their goals aligned in the simplest and most human way: to protect life. As the first lights of approaching ships reflected against the station's hull, Tilar and Alex stood side by side in the command center. The distant rumble of engines filled the silence, signaling the impending arrival of Earth's forces. The station, once a quiet relic of experiments and forgotten research, was now a focal point of galactic attention. Tilar understood that nothing would be the same again. By saving one human, he had set in motion events that would change the course of his people's future. The human looked out at the stars, calm despite the tension. "We have work to do," he said. Tilar nodded, feeling the weight of their shared responsibility. In the vast emptiness of space, two unlikely allies prepared to face a war neither had asked for, bound together by a choice that would echo across the galaxy. The first signs of movement appeared on the radar, ships emerging from the darkness, sleek and bristling with technology. The distant hum became a roar. Tilar tightened his grip on the console, determination hardening in his mind. They would face this together. They had no choice. The galaxy was watching, and humanity was coming, whether the Vicari were ready or not. And as the horizon of the station glowed with the approach of Earth's fleet, Tilar realized something profound. Helping a human was not just an act of compassion. It was a declaration, and declarations, once made, could never be undone. The first light of the approaching fleet reflected off the station's hull like distant fire. Tilar could feel the vibration through the floor as massive engines hummed in unison. The sensors blinked endlessly, tracking hundreds of ships converging on the station from all directions. The Vicari had never seen anything like it. Their small patrol vessels and defenses seemed fragile compared to the enormous, disciplined human fleet now streaming through the void. Yet, in that moment, Tilar understood the scale of the power he had invoked simply by saving one human. Alex moved with quiet confidence, issuing commands to the station's automated systems. "Focus the shield arrays here," he said, pointing to a section of the hull that was most exposed. "Deploy the drones in defensive patterns. They won't get past them easily." The Vicari engineers followed, their movements precise but hesitant. Earth's ships carried a sense of authority that demanded respect. For Tilar, it was both terrifying and exhilarating. As the first human ships reached the station, the atmosphere shifted. The distant hum became a roar, and beams of light cut across space as the fleets aligned with surgical precision. Tilar watched as the massive capital ships positioned themselves in formation, creating a protective barrier around the station. Earth had come not just to defend Alex, but to ensure that no harm would touch those who had helped him. It was overwhelming. The calm did not last. Sensors picked up the Empire's fleet racing toward them, smaller in number than Earth's but heavily armed and ruthless. Tilar felt his chest tighten. The battle was inevitable, and he knew the lives of his people rested on the next decisions. Alex looked at him, his gaze steady and clear. "We fight smart, not just hard," he said. "Follow my lead and we'll make them regret attacking us." The first shots rang out like thunder. The Empire's ships fired plasma beams that streaked across space, and Tilar watched in awe as Earth's shields absorbed the impact, shimmering like liquid glass. Drones swarmed in precise arcs, intercepting missiles before they reached the station. Alex guided every move, calculating patterns and predicting enemy attacks with an almost unnatural speed. Tilar realized that humanity's greatest weapon was not their firepower alone, but their ability to think and adapt in real time. The Vicari quickly adapted to Alex's guidance, repositioning their own smaller ships to complement the humans. Tilar piloted one of the station's fighter crafts, his three eyes scanning for openings. He had never worked alongside humans in battle before, yet their instructions were clear, concise, and life-saving. Together, they formed a rhythm, a perfect combination of alien technology and human ingenuity. Hours passed in a blur of chaos and strategy. The Empire's fleet was relentless, sending wave after wave of ships toward the station. But each time they met Earth's precision and the Vakari's ingenuity. Alex directed a squadron to target the Empire's flagship, a massive vessel bristling with weapons. Tilar and a group of Vakari fighters followed his plan, weaving through enemy fire with careful timing. With a coordinated strike, they disabled the flagship's energy core, causing a chain reaction that forced the remaining ships to retreat temporarily. Amid the battle, Tilar saw something remarkable. The Vakari, who had long been wary and fearful of humans, began to fight alongside them with newfound confidence. They were inspired not by orders, but by what they saw. A human willing to risk everything for another life, and a human who could think faster, act smarter, and unite allies in a way the Empire could not understand. For the first time, the Vakari realized that humans were more than powerful. They were formidable partners, capable of turning desperation into victory. As the day wore on, the station took damage, and Tilar had to work feverishly to repair systems mid-battle. Sparks flew, corridors shook, and alarms blared, yet he never stopped. Alex moved beside him, coordinating defenses, checking systems, and offering encouragement. "Keep steady," Alex said calmly, handing Tilar a repair tool. "Every second counts." Together, they patched shields, rerouted power, and maintained the station as a functioning fortress. It was exhausting, dangerous, and exhilarating all at once. Night came, though in space it was more a matter of cycles than sunlight. The battle had slowed, with both sides regrouping. Tilar looked out from the command deck at the wreckage of enemy vessels drifting in the void. The human fleet remained largely intact, a testament to precision and planning. Alex's eyes scanned the horizon, calculating the next move. "We need to finish this," he said. "If we don't, they'll return stronger." The plan was bold. Tilar, Alex, and a team of Vakari pilots would infiltrate the enemy's supply station, a massive structure feeding the Empire's fleets. It was heavily guarded, almost impossible to approach without detection. Yet Alex's strategy was brilliant, a combination of stealth, timing, and leveraging the human and Vakari technology together. Tilar volunteered for the lead, feeling the weight of responsibility but trusting the human's plan. They approached under the cover of debris and shadows, using every trick Tilar knew to avoid detection. The station's sensors hummed silently, relaying real-time updates. The Empire's defenses were formidable, but the combined skills of human and Vakari crews allowed them to slip past most patrols. Tilar's heart pounded as they reached the core, and Alex quickly began to hack into the systems, his fingers moving over the controls with precision. Within minutes, alarms that could have been catastrophic were silenced, and the core's energy output began to destabilize. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the station. Enemy reinforcements had detected them, but Alex remained calm. "Keep moving," he said, guiding Tilar through the chaos. Together, they navigated corridors, avoided patrols, and reached the control center where the final system overload could be triggered. Tilar placed his hands on the console, feeling the hum of alien technology as Alex synchronized human systems with it. A bright pulse of energy radiated outward, sending the supply station into a controlled destruction that would cripple the Empire's fleet for weeks. Back at the station, the battle reached its climax. Earth's ships pushed forward with renewed vigor, coordinating attacks that forced the enemy to retreat. Tilar watched as the once-feared Empire ships fled into the void, their formation broken and morale shattered. Humans and Vakari cheered together, an unlikely alliance celebrating victory. Tilar realized that they had not only survived, they had changed the course of the war. In the aftermath, Tilar walked alongside Alex on the station's observation deck, gazing at the stars now peaceful and still. "I never imagined this," Tilar admitted, his voice soft. "Humans, they are something else." Alex smiled, placing a hand on the Vakari's shoulder. "We all have our strengths," he said. "Sometimes it just takes the right situation to show them." For the Vakari, the encounter was transformative. They had witnessed bravery, intelligence, and morality in action. Helping a human had seemed risky, perhaps foolish, yet it had forged bonds that no empire could break. Tilar understood that from this day forward, the Vakari would never look at the galaxy the same way. They had allies now, powerful, compassionate, and fearless allies who would fight for them as they had fought for humanity. Alex prepared to leave, his mission complete. Yet he promised that humanity would remain a presence, not just in the sector, but as a friend to those who had stood with them. Tilar watched the human ship depart, feeling a mixture of awe and gratitude. For all the danger and chaos, one simple act, saving a human, had brought hope, courage, and a new future for his people. As the station returned to quiet, Tilar reflected on the day's events. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and unknowns, yet he now understood a truth that humans seemed to carry naturally. Life, courage, and determination could overcome even the greatest odds. By helping a human, they had survived. By fighting together, they had triumphed. And in the emptiness of space, Tilar realized something profound. Humanity was not just worth saving, it was worth fighting alongside. The stars shone silently, witnesses to the new bond forged between two species. For the first time, the Vakari felt the true meaning of alliance and courage. They had fought, survived, and learned that in the galaxy, hope could be found in the most unexpected places. And as Tilar turned from the observation deck, he carried with him a sense of pride, a new understanding, and a promise to remember this day forever, the day Earth came to war for a friend. The galaxy had grown quiet after the battle, but peace was fragile. Tilar wandered the corridors of the station, still repairing systems damaged during the fight. The echoes of explosions and the roar of engines had faded, replaced by a soft hum of machinery and the occasional metallic creak. The Vakari were exhausted but alive, and for the first time in many cycles there was hope in their hearts. Yet Tilar knew this was only the beginning. The Empire would not forget such a loss, and new threats would surely follow. Alex stood beside the observation window, watching the stars drift by. He had spent weeks recovering and coordinating the station's defenses, but his thoughts were elsewhere. The human fleet had returned to patrol the sector, but the war was far from over. "They'll come back," he said softly, almost to himself. "Stronger, smarter, but we'll be ready." Tilar nodded. He could see the determination in Alex's eyes, the same stubborn will that had driven him to survive countless battles. A sudden alert interrupted the quiet. Tilar hurried to the console, scanning the incoming signals. Small ships, unregistered and fast, were approaching from the edges of the sector. Alex moved closer, his expression calm but focused. "Recon units?" he asked. Tilar shook his head. "No, these signatures, they're different. Not Vakari, not human." The approaching fleet belonged to a coalition of smaller alien species, drawn by the recent conflict and Earth's unexpected intervention. Some were curious, some wary, and some openly hostile. The delicate balance Tilar and Alex had fought to protect was now threatened by the galaxy's natural chaos. The station needed a plan, and quickly. Alex and Tilar gathered the Vakari Council. "We need to show them we are strong but not aggressive," Alex said. "We must demonstrate that cooperation with humans brings safety, not war." The council listened, hesitant but trusting the humans' judgment. They understood that the arrival of new species could either be an opportunity or a threat. The first wave of alien ships approached the station cautiously. Tilar and Alex coordinated the station's communications, broadcasting peaceful signals and demonstrating defensive maneuvers rather than aggressive attacks. To their surprise, the aliens paused, observing carefully. Alex seized the moment. "We survived together before," he said. "Let us survive together again. Fight with us, not against us." It took hours, but slowly the first ships aligned themselves defensively around the station. Tilar marveled at the effect humans had on others. Alex's confidence, clarity, and courage seemed to inspire even the most suspicious species. The Vakari watched in awe as alliances formed not through fear, but through leadership and example. During the night cycle, Tilar and Alex patrolled the station together. They inspected repairs, reinforced shields, and checked the readiness of all defensive units. The conversation drifted naturally from technical details to broader matters of strategy and survival. Alex spoke of humanity's history, of their struggles and victories, of the countless times humans had faced overwhelming odds and prevailed. Tilar listened, fascinated by the stories of a species so different yet so remarkably resilient. Days passed, and the station became a hub for diplomacy. Aliens who had once ignored the sector now arrived seeking guidance, alliance, or protection. Alex and Tilar mediated disputes, coordinated patrols, and taught strategies that combined human ingenuity with Vakari technology. The station evolved from a small, isolated post into a central stronghold for cooperation and defense. One morning, a distress signal arrived from a nearby planet under attack by remnants of the Empire's fleet. Alex and T-Lar studied the holographic maps. The Empire was regrouping, seeking to reclaim lost territory. "We can't ignore this," Alex said. "If we let them take that planet, it will be a base for future attacks. We act now." T-Lar agreed. Together, they devised a plan to defend the planet using a combination of stealth, strategic positioning, and coordinated strikes. The mission was dangerous. The planet's atmosphere made approach difficult, and enemy patrols were more numerous than anticipated. T-Lar piloted a Vakari fighter alongside Alex, who had taken command of a human assault ship. They moved in perfect synchronization, dodging enemy fire and using the terrain to their advantage. Explosions illuminated the sky as they disabled key installations without risking civilian lives. Meanwhile, back at the station, the newly allied ships maintained defensive formations, ready to provide reinforcements if necessary. The Vakari realized that their species had changed fundamentally. Where once they had relied on secrecy and caution, now they embraced collaboration, guided by humans who led not by domination, but by example. The battle reached its climax as Alex and T-Lar infiltrated the Empire's main outpost on the planet. They coordinated a precise strike on the enemy's command hub, cutting communications and forcing a surrender. The remaining forces scattered, realizing they could not overcome the combined strength of humans, Vakari, and their new allies. The victory was decisive, but it required every ounce of skill, courage, and cooperation the team could muster. As the dust settled, T-Lar and Alex stood on the planet's surface, watching the stars above. Ships of various species hovered peacefully in orbit, a testament to what could be achieved when trust and determination guided actions. "We did it," T-Lar said quietly. "We really did it," Alex nodded. "This is just the beginning. The galaxy is bigger than any one species, but together we can make it safer, fairer." The Vakari Council arrived, offering gratitude and recognition. They honored Alex not just as a visitor or ally, but as a true friend. T-Lar realized that the small act of helping one human had transformed an entire society. The Vakari had seen what humanity could achieve: resilience, courage, and wisdom, and they would never forget it. In the following weeks, the station became a beacon for cooperation. Traders, diplomats, and explorers sought guidance, knowing that alliances forged here were strong and enduring. Alex worked tirelessly to train new leaders, teach tactics, and inspire hope. T-Lar continued to repair, innovate, and adapt, always learning from the human beside him. The Empire remained a distant threat, but its power had waned. Smaller skirmishes occurred, but the galaxy had begun to shift. Species that once feared humans now saw them as partners, not conquerors. T-Lar felt a profound sense of pride. Humanity had not only survived, but had inspired, united, and protected. The Vakari would carry this legacy forward, guided by the example of one courageous human and the choices he had made. One evening, as the stars shimmered across the planet's horizon, Alex and T-Lar reflected on their journey. "We started with a choice," Alex said. "You saved me. That simple act changed everything." T-Lar nodded. "And we fought together. We learned together. The galaxy will never be the same." They stood in silence for a moment, listening to the quiet hum of the planet and the distant sounds of ships in orbit. For the first time, T-Lar felt a true sense of peace. The galaxy was dangerous, unpredictable, and vast, but it was also full of possibilities. Humanity's influence had reached far beyond Earth, and the Vakari had become part of something greater, a network of allies inspired by courage and the desire to protect life. As the night deepened, T-Lar looked at Alex with a mixture of respect and gratitude. "We helped each other," he said softly, "and because of that, so many others will live." Alex smiled. "That's what it means to be human," he replied. "We face danger, we protect life, and we inspire hope. Nothing more, nothing less." The galaxy, quiet and endless, seemed to acknowledge their words. Stars shimmered like distant lanterns, casting light on a station, a planet, and two allies who had changed the course of history. The story of survival, courage, and cooperation would spread, inspiring others to follow the same path. T-Lar turned back to the station, ready to continue the work ahead. There would be challenges, new threats, and uncertainties, but he knew this. When humans and Vakari worked together, there was no force too great to overcome. And as he looked at the horizon, he felt certain that the act of helping one human had set the galaxy on a new course, one where courage, intelligence, and unity could truly make a difference. The stars remained still, witnesses to a new era. And in the silence of space, Tilar realized that the galaxy had changed forever, not because of war, but because of friendship, bravery, and the simple choice to help another being in need. The ripple of that choice would echo across worlds, reminding all species that even the smallest act of compassion could ignite hope, inspire courage, and unite the galaxy. The galaxy had grown quieter, but the calm was deceptive. Tilar walked through the station's corridors, checking systems and supplies, knowing that peace in the void was always temporary. The humans had departed days ago, leaving behind a presence felt even in their absence. Their ships were gone, but their influence remained, woven into every system and every strategy the Vakari had learned. Tilar felt a sense of pride mixed with responsibility. They had changed the course of history, but the galaxy was not finished testing them. A signal arrived on the communication array, sharp and urgent. Tilar activated the console and saw a fleet of unknown ships approaching at high speed. Unlike before, these vessels moved with coordination and purpose, their markings unfamiliar and alien. Tilar's chest tightened. The Empire might have been weakened, but a new threat had emerged. He immediately contacted the Vakari Council, and they convened in the command chamber. Alex's voice echoed in his mind, calm and decisive. Plan carefully. Anticipate, adapt, and never underestimate your enemy. Tilar realized that the lessons the human had taught them were now more critical than ever. The council listened as Tilar relayed the incoming threat. Their nervous glances betrayed fear, but he steadied his voice. We have survived worse. We know how to fight smart. We will prepare and we will not fail. The incoming fleet established orbit, large ships bristling with weapons and smaller fighters swarming around them. Tilar and the council devised a strategy immediately. They would not wait to be attacked. Instead, they would strike with precision, combining Vakari technology with the defensive systems Alex had helped install. Every weapon, drone, and shield was checked and reinforced. As the first wave of alien fighters approached, Tilar piloted a Vakari interceptor, leading a squadron of the most skilled pilots. The unknown ships attacked with speed and coordination, but Tilar anticipated their movements. He used every trick he knew, weaving through plasma fire and launching counterattacks that disabled multiple enemy ships. The Vakari squadron followed his lead, their confidence bolstered by his skill and calm demeanor. Meanwhile, the station itself engaged the enemy fleet with energy pulses and drones, targeting key systems to prevent overwhelming damage. Tilar noticed that the aliens were learning, adapting to their tactics quickly. It became a battle of wits and reflexes, each side probing for weaknesses, each maneuver critical. The tension was palpable, but Tilar remained focused. He remembered Alex's words, courage alone was not enough, strategy and unity won battles. Hours passed as the battle raged. Explosions lit the void, and debris floated between ships, a dangerous maze of metal and fire. Tilar coordinated with Vakari and human systems, guiding attacks, redirecting drones, and managing shield outputs. The station itself shuddered under the stress, but it held, a fortress built not just of metal but of cooperation and ingenuity. During a pause in the battle, Tilar observed the enemy's command ship from the viewport. It was massive, a central hub coordinating attacks with almost instinctive efficiency. We need to disrupt that ship, he told the council. If we take it out, the rest will lose coordination. A plan formed quickly. Vakari fighters would lure the enemy's smaller ships away, while a strike team would approach the command vessel with precision explosives and guided systems. Tilar led the strike team. The journey toward the enemy command ship was tense. Every second brought the possibility of detection, but the team moved with silent determination. They avoided patrols, using shadows and debris to hide their approach. The station's sensors guided them, feeding real-time information. Tilar felt a thrill of purpose, the same feeling he had when first helping Alex survive. He understood now that courage was amplified when shared with others who trusted you. They reached the command ship's perimeter. Tilar and his team deployed explosives at key structural points, and as they retreated to a safe distance, a massive explosion shook the vessel. Fire and debris spewed into space, disrupting the enemy fleet's coordination instantly. The remaining ships faltered, giving the station and allied forces the advantage they needed. The battle continued for hours, but now the tide had shifted. Telar watched as alien ships retreated, confusion spreading through their ranks. The combined forces of Vekari and humans, along with the newly allied species, pressed forward strategically, disabling critical enemy systems while minimizing casualties. The unknown fleet, once confident and aggressive, began to fracture, retreating into the void to avoid total annihilation. After the battle, Telar returned to the station, exhausted but alive. The command chamber was quiet now, filled with leaders from multiple species. They looked at him with respect and gratitude, recognizing his role in turning the tide. Telar understood that the courage and knowledge he had gained from Alex had transformed him into a leader capable of uniting and inspiring others. As repairs began, Telar and the Vekari engineers worked alongside new allies, strengthening the station and preparing for future threats. They shared knowledge, technology, and ideas, creating a network of cooperation that extended beyond the Vekari species. The station became more than a military outpost. It became a hub of innovation, diplomacy, and hope. Alex returned, his ship docking quietly. He had observed the battle from afar, intervening only when necessary, trusting the Vekari to execute the plan they had learned together. Telar greeted him, pride shining in his eyes. "You were right," he said. "The galaxy is dangerous, but we can face it together." Alex smiled, placing a hand on Telar's shoulder. "You learned well. Courage is important, but unity is what wins wars." The next days were spent rebuilding, training, and strengthening alliances. News of the battle spread, reaching distant sectors. Stories of humans and Vekari working together, facing overwhelming odds, inspired countless species. Traders, explorers, and diplomats arrived seeking guidance, wishing to learn from the alliance that had just proven the power of cooperation. Telar realized that by helping one human, they had not only survived battles, but had reshaped the galaxy's perception of humanity. One evening, as the station orbited a serene planet, Telar and Alex stood on the observation deck, watching the stars. Ships from various species patrolled the space around them, a testament to the new unity they had forged. "I never imagined this," Telar said quietly. "All of this because of a single choice," Alex nodded. "Sometimes one act can change everything. You saved me, and together we saved so many others. That's the strength of humans and the strength of cooperation." Telar reflected on their journey. From the moment he found Alex drifting in space to now, the galaxy had shifted in ways he could never have imagined. Allies had been made, enemies defeated, and hope spread where there was once fear. The Vekari had grown stronger, wiser, and more confident. They had learned that courage was not just physical. It was moral, strategic, and shared among those who trusted each other. As the stars twinkled silently, Telar felt a sense of peace he had never known. The galaxy remained unpredictable, full of challenges and unknown dangers, but he now understood that with allies, courage, and determination, they could face anything. Humanity's influence, their resilience, and their example had changed everything. Telar smiled, knowing that the simple act of helping one human had set in motion events that would echo across worlds for generations. The station thrummed softly beneath their feet, alive with the activity of engineers, pilots, and diplomats. Telar looked at Alex, gratitude in his gaze. "Thank you," he said, "not just for teaching us, but for showing what it means to be human." Alex placed a hand on his shoulder. "You already knew, you just needed a reason to believe it." In the quiet of space, under the vast, endless sky, Telar understood that the story they had written together was far from over. The galaxy would test them again, but they were ready. Humans and Vekari, alongside new allies, would face the future together, undaunted, united, and inspired by courage. The stars shone on, silent witnesses to a galaxy transformed. A galaxy where helping one human had changed everything, where unity and ingenuity overcame fear and tyranny, and where the simple choice to act with compassion and bravery became the spark for hope across worlds. And as Telar turned back toward the heart of the station, he knew that no matter what came next, the galaxy would never forget the day humans and Vekari stood together, and that even in the darkest void, courage and cooperation could shine brighter than any star.